Hello, my name is Jack and this is Entertainment World. Today I will be talking about The Dark Knight, which is my favourite film ever made. I absolutely love this film. I've watched it loads of times and I just think it's fantastic. So yeah, we're talking about that. It was directed by Christopher Nolan, like the first film. It was written by Christopher Nolan and his brother Jonathan Nolan. And the story was by Christopher Nolan and David S. Goyer. And it is one of the best sequels ever made as well. It's definitely better than the first one, in my opinion. Not saying, the first one's bad at all. I mean, I think the first one's also fantastic. But I think this film is the best out of the trilogy. The best sequel ever made. The best comic book film ever made. Best superhero film ever made. Well, just like I said, I just personally, it's just my favourite film ever made. I just personally think it's the best film ever made. So I'll be talking about it in quite a lot of detail. Obviously, I'll be doing the non-spoiler stuff first, and then I'll be doing the more spoiler stuff later on. Going into more analytic view, looking at things in greater detail, sort of thing. So I'll be doing that later on. So if you have watched it, make sure to watch that as well. But if you haven't watched it and you want to watch it, I recommend you would stop the video after I give my grading, watch the film, and then come back and watch that bit later on. So that's what I would suggest. Anyway, so starting off with the negatives, as I always like to get them out of the way first, because I like to talk about the positives later. The thing is, though, is that I don't like to say, it's a perfect film, because obviously no films are 100% perfect, even if it's just a film mistake. This film, for me, is almost perfect. I could only think of a couple negatives that people might find, and that is, again, like the first film, it's very long, not a lot of levity, not very funny, it's very dark. So if you again have young children or young siblings, or you just want a fun time yourself, I don't recommend you watch this film, because you won't find that. You'd still probably be better off with one of the MCU films or something like that if you're looking for a fun comic book film. And also, I think some people say the pacing's a bit weird. I can sort of see that, but I won't admit that, because I love this film, but I can sort of see what they're on about. It does have a bit of the climactic moment, but then you find out there's another hour of the film and it feels a bit like, okay. But, personally, again, I love it. That's just an issue that other people have had with it, so I was just putting that out there. So, now the positives. Really short negative list, now the positives. This film has the best opening to any film I have ever seen. Literally, it is the best opening ever. I love it. I think it was the first sequence ever to be made that was entirely shot on IMAX cameras. There were only 4 in the world at that point, and they broke one of them. I don't know how much trouble they got in for that, but I can't imagine it was, let go very easily. And it's a bank robbery scene with a bunch of the Joker's henchmen, and they're all wearing the clown masks, and they're all going in, and they're all talking about who is the Joker. They don't even really know who they're working for. So it's very interesting to watch that. Proper opening to a film from the complete villain's perspective. And they're going into a bank that turns out to be run by the mob. So the mob are hiding all their money in this bank, and they're robbing it. And I won't go into all of it. I won't spoil everything that happens, but I will just say, hands down, my favourite opening to any film ever. So it starts off great, and then of course you see Batman for the first time in this film. He's introduced in the next scene. His introduction also is amazing. It's one of Scarecrow's drug deals. He's doing a drug deal with one of the Mafia members, who's pissed off with him because he says, I wanted to buy drugs from you to distribute out to everyone, but look at what they're doing to my customers. And Scarecrow says, I told you buyer beware, I told you my compound will take you places. I didn't say any places you would want to go. Because obviously, his drugs are fear-induced hallucinogenics, which obviously, if you're a drug dealer, you wouldn't really want to be selling that, because that isn't going to give the high that people want. You know, what's your greatest fear? Well, here you go. Here's how you can experience it up close and personal. So yeah, he wasn't very happy. And then Batman intervenes, and it turns out there's a bunch of people dressing up as Batman with guns, pretending they are Batman. And there's a big fight between the gangs and the fake Batmen. And then Batman shows up and beats the shit out of both of them, and you're like, yeah, this is just so cool. But what I love about this film, just talking about on the whole quickly, is that the first film was about Batman becoming Batman, him getting over his fears, him trying to use his fears for good, to find out where he will fit in the Gotham power struggle and how he can help people. Whereas this film asks the question, can he actually be Batman? Can he be Batman and stick to his moral code? Is that even possible? Can he be better than the people he's trying to get? Or is he, just as bad as them? Will he end up just as bad as them? And even if he can do just two things, how long can he do it for? He's only been Batman, I think, a year, and already it's collapsing under him. It's like, you can't do it. And that is all because of the brilliant character that is Heath Ledger's Joker. He is my favourite film villain ever. Not only does Heath Ledger, may he rest in peace, give probably the best performance as the Joker ever, if not tied to Joaquin Phoenix, who I must admit was brilliant. But just the character, just his motivation, his only motivation is to make other people break. He wants people to be like him. Okay, so what's Batman like? Oh, okay, he's a guy just as a bat who beats up criminals, but he won't kill anyone. Okay, I will make it my job to make sure he kills somebody, even if it's me. That's dedication. The police, let's make them corrupt again. The mafia, let's make them scared. He wants to undo everyone's personality, essentially. He wants to make everyone what they hate. So if you're a tough guy, he wants to make you scared. If you are non-violent, he wants to make you violent. Whatever it is, he wants to break you and make you what you hate. And obviously, his main target is Batman. Because who's better to make break than a guy who literally dresses up as a bat and kicks the shit out of people at night? Perfect target, if you're being honest. And like I said, my favourite villain, absolutely perfect. Heath Ledger absolutely nailed it. It's just such a shame what happened with him, because he could have gone down. He has already gone down as one of the best actors ever, but he could have truly had one of the best careers out of any actor that ever was put on this earth. So it was it's a horrendous shame what happened with him, but I'm so glad he got to be in this film, because he just absolutely nailed it. Who else is in this film? Gary Oldman is back, and he is Lieutenant Gordon in this film, and he is brilliant again, and he's more, he spends a lot more time with Batman in this film. In fact, they spend a lot of time together. They work together. They're very close in this film. He brings Batman in. He gives Batman information. He receives the information Batman gets. So they work brilliantly together in this one. And he's got more power. You can tell people take him more seriously, because Batman's starting to wean out the corrupt police, and more police around. He's more stable. He can do what he wants. And him and Batman make a great team. Rachel is in this film, but she is not played by Katie Holmes this time. She is played by Maggie Gyllenhaal, who also actually gives a great performance. And aside from, not looking like Katie Holmes, the character transitions very well. You wouldn't know, like I said, apart from the fact they look different, you would think they're not changing characters. The character's the same. You'd think they're playing the same person. So she did a great job at continuing the character's story into the next film. And she is in a relationship with a great addition, which is Harvey Dent, the city's new district attorney, who is played by, I believe, Aaron Eckhart, who I actually think is underrated. I think he should be in more films like this, because he does a lot of action films. I think he should be in more stuff, because I actually really like him, especially in this film. I think he's fantastic. And Morgan Freeman's back again. He's Lucius Fox, and he has a lot more in this film. He gives Batman a lot more tech, including the first suit what Batman has, where he's able to turn his neck. Because originally, in every other film previous, he has to, change his standing position to face who he's fighting. He couldn't turn his neck at all. And that's why, especially in the Michael Keaton films, he's very stiff, because he literally just has to do that all the time. Whereas in this one, the first Batman to be able to do that properly. And again, that was actually quite cool to see, a proper Batman suit where it moves better, because that's always been a bit of the criticism of the older films, especially the Michael Keaton films, where he literally looks like he is unable to move his neck. He looks like he's got some form of injury and is like really stiff. Master, just do this all the time. Whereas now he's able to just move like a normal human being. And they actually show him get that suit, because of early in the film he was like, yeah, I need to be able to turn my head because I can't actually see what's going on half the time. So Lucius Fox makes him a proper cowl, goes around his neck, and do that.
You want to be able to turn your head.
Sure made backing out of the driveway easier.
I'll see what I can do.
He actually gets a whole new bat suit. Even though it's got a similar design, again, it's more flexible. He can do things like that better. He's able to, it's just more, move more. He's able to do that. And it's more flexible, so he can, throw better punches. He can kick out further and do things like that, and he can jump higher and stuff like that. Whereas, of course, in the Batman Begins suit, because it was all very sort of one piece, it was quite stiff for him to move around in. Whereas this one, as it's sort of plating, but it's got gaps in it, so he's able to move easier. But of course, that obviously, as they mentioned in the film, makes him more vulnerable to guns and knives and gunfire. Which, Batman responds with, you won't want to make things too easy now, would you? So, well, yeah. It's, again, a cool addition, new suit. The Batmobile's back. But this film also has the first sign of the Batbike. But in this film it's called the Batpod, because I won't spoil why it's called that, but it's called the Batpod. Which, again, is also really cool. Because everyone likes the Batbike. Well, most people I know like the Batbike. I think it was cool to actually see it. It's also like the first Batbike, Batpod that you can take seriously, because usually it's just a bit, it's a bit ridiculous, isn't it? He's driving around on this over-the-top bike, whereas this one you're like, oh no, that's actually really cool. Who else is in it? I'll probably remember in a minute. I go, oh yeah, this guy's great. But so overall the cast is great. The new additions are great. The returning characters are great. Maroni, that's it. I can't remember the actor's name. Whoever played Maroni, who's the new head of the crime family, he does a really good job. And he isn't as threatening as Falcone from the first film, but he isn't meant to be, because the mob's gone downhill massively since Batman's shown up, for obvious reasons. He's targeting all their drug sachets, or the places where they keep their guns, or their informers, but police, everything like that. He's just targeting them all, so they're collapsing. And they hire the Joker to kill the Batman, not knowing Joker has other plans, because that's way too easy, isn't it? Just killing him. Let's make him break and everyone else break along the way. So yeah, again, like I said, this film's fantastic. Got the fantastic characters and in the fantastic story, and that's just that as well. Sorry, and that's with the additions of the best action sequences out the trilogy, in my opinion. How's my favourite chase scene of all time, and that's between Joker and Harvey Dent and Batman, which I won't go into details why Harvey Dent is also involved in a high-speed chase, as he is a district attorney, but that is my favourite chase scene of all time. I think that was really cool. And the best, probably, score as well, the best new music at the trilogy for this film, which again was written by Hans Zimmer, because, you know, he's fantastic. Every bit of music he writes is fantastic. Honestly, the fact that not every film uses it, well, then again, I wouldn't want every film, because John Williams is also fantastic, who did Star Wars and, Indiana Jones as well. He's great. But Hans Zimmer, I think, is my favourite film composer, because, again, with this film, he absolutely nails it, and I love it, and I love the Joker's theme, which is just this eerie piece of music, and it really suits him, because it just like gets slowly louder and louder, building to a climax. As you can tell, the Joker's building up to something horrific, and I love his music for this film as well. Quick little thing, but Rachel's and Bruce's relationship in this film is also fantastic, because Bruce Wayne still loves Rachel. He still wants to be with Rachel, and he's like, and Rachel said to him in the previous film, you know, if you keep being Batman, I can't be with you. I don't want to be with you until you stop being Batman. And Batman's like, okay, I'll try and find when I can stop. When is it a safe time for me to stop being Batman? And he wants Harvey Dent to be his replacement, not as Batman, but as the new hero of Gotham, you know, because he's actually elected, he's liked by the citizens, and he's doing a great job cleaning up the city, and Batman refers to him as a hero with a face. You know, he's not wearing a mask, he's not beating people up in the middle of the night in the shadows. He actually is going out and fixing all the city's problems with a face. You know who he is, and he's just this lovely, trusted guy. The problem is, she's in a relationship with Harvey Dent. So this puts Batman in a bit of a problem, you know. I want to stop being Batman so I can be with Rachel, but Rachel is with the guy I want to replace me. So there's a bit of a love triangle there, and I think it works really well, and it's definitely my favourite love triangle in any form of media, because love triangles tend to be a bit, well, shit, if I'm being honest. Especially, they're overused. They're definitely overused. This film does it really well. The brief appearance of Scarecrow was really cool. I like seeing Cillian Murphy back. He has a great line in the film. I won't spoil it, but it's probably the funniest line in any Batman film, or at least one of the funniest lines. Oh, I can't believe I actually forgot him now. That was terrible. Michael Caine is back as Alfred. I can't believe I forgot that. And again, I can't believe I forgot to mention him. He's fantastic in this film. I'll say this again is his best film at the trilogy. Him and Bruce, their relationship again is fantastic. You know, Alfred's still like, look, I'm not all for you dressing up as a bat and beating the shit out of people for a hobby, but you know, I might as well help you. And he's gotten more used to it, and he now thinks Bruce is more capable. Although he does say to him, Bruce, you are pushing it. One day you're going to reach a limit. It's not going to end well for you or anyone else. And of course, that is what the Joker is there to do. To push Batman to his limit and basically cause the havoc that would ensue because of that. And so their relationship is great. And I honestly still can't believe I forgot to mention Michael Caine up until this point, as he is really good in this film, honestly. I actually sort of I miss him as Alfred, though I am glad we got Jeremy Irons in Batman vs Superman. I did like Jeremy Irons, but Michael Caine was cool as Alfred. I mean, they were all great. The whole Dark Knight trilogy casting was great. I can't think of a single person I think shouldn't have been cast in any of their roles. I know that's going off topic a bit, but yeah, he was fantastic in this film as well. Like I said, the action scenes in this film were brilliant. The hand-to-hand combat scenes in this film were really good as well. You could actually tell what was going on. It was shot very well. It was choreographed very well. And I don't know if whoever it was, stunt double or Christian Bale, because I think he did most, if not all, of his own stunts. He did a great job as Batman, because you really got the brutality of it, especially when it was between him and the Joker. You really believed that every time Batman punched the Joker, no matter what scene it was in, he actually just flat out punched the guy in the face as hard as he physically could. So yeah, the action was great, again, music was great, the cast was great, and the continuation of the story was, again, absolutely fantastic. I won't spoil it, but the ending of the film as well is also really, really good. It leaves it very open, but in a good way, not in like oh, why would you leave it there sort of, you just want more money out of us, like a lot of films do now. But the way they leave it is really good. So yeah, if you haven't watched the film, I recommend you come off now. I recommend you go watch it, and then come back and watch this if you, of course, want to. So overall, I will give this film 9.75 out of 10. For film quality and its entertainment value, like the first film, is 10 out of 10 and beyond. Love this film so much. I mean, I bought it on DVD, Blu-ray, and then 4K, and I love it. And I obviously didn't buy all of that at once because that would be a bit of a waste. But I, progressively bought them. Started off with the DVD, and then upgraded to Blu-ray, and then upgraded to 4K. And it was worth it because this film does just look fantastic, and the use of practical effects again, like in the first film, is great. So yeah. So like I said, you haven't watched it, come off now. You have watched it, continue watching. So now spoilers. What this film did, which not a lot of films have dared to do, especially in comic book films, I mean, it happens a lot in action films but not comic book films, is that they killed off Batman's love interest. They kill Rachel in this film, and it's quite a horrendous death as well. It's being strapped in a building full of explosives and blows up. I mean, I know not only they kill her off though, they kill her off halfway through the film. Like Amazing Spider-Man 2 killed off Gwen Stacy, but they did that at the end of the film. This one was like, no, we're going to kill her off, smack in the middle. And what happens there is that's Joker trying to break Batman, because he knows that Batman loves Rachel. He doesn't know who Batman is, but he knows he has feelings for this woman who he also knows is in a serious relationship with the district attorney, who he also wants to break. Because whereas Batman is Gotham's Dark Knight, they call Harvey Dent Gotham's White Knight. He's, the face, the true hero, the true believer in good. And the Joker thought, what better way to take someone like Harvey Dent and bring him down our level, make him as bad as him and Batman. I love that. So not only does it affect Batman, it also affects Harvey Dent. And when the Batman found out that they'd both been captured, he interrogated Joker.
Does Harvey know about you and his little bunny? Where are they?
And Joker, on purpose, gave him the wrong locations. He gave her, He gave him Harvey Dent's location, but told him it was Rachel, and then also gave him Rachel location, but said it was Harvey Dent, because he knew he would go for Rachel and the police would go for Harvey, knowing the police wouldn't make it in time, and Batman will end up rescuing Harvey, and there'd be a lot of issues there. And Harvey Dent also is severely injured in the explosion, because when he had tried to escape, he had knocked one of the oil drums over, landed in it because he was strapped to a chair, and half of his face got covered in diesel. And when the bomb goes off, that half of his body catches fire, and he is horrifically burnt on half of his body and becomes the villain known as Two-Face. And obviously, if you know the comics, that doesn't surprise you at all, because Harvey Dent is very famously the character Two-Face. Villain motivated just by the number 2, in this case as well, 50-50 chance. He goes after the people he feels are responsible for the death of Rachel. So, the corrupt police, Joker, Batman, and Gordon, and himself as well. Even himself, the people he believes are responsible for Rachel's death. And it's very emotional as well, because not only does it break the hero, it creates a whole new villain who could have been a really good guy. In fact, he has a line in the film earlier on: you either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain. And that is exactly what happens to him. And what I also love about it, whereas he's out for revenge, Batman doesn't let Rachel's death affect his attitude towards the Joker. I'd actually go so far to say he was more angry when he found out Rachel was in danger than he was when she actually died. He didn't let it overcome him. He didn't go, I've got to go kill him now. He stuck to his moral compass still. And yeah, it was just great to see that, because, you know, most times when something like that happens, there's all-out revenge, whereas here he was like, no, I've just got to keep going, got to capture him just to protect the city, not for my own benefit. And it's great. Seeing Bruce Wayne as well questions, should I be Batman, in the way that this film does it. Batman Forever, which I don't really recommend you watch, because unless you want to watch Jim Carrey dance around in spandex giving out really terrible riddles, with also Two-Faces in that film as well, played by Tommy Lee Jones. But instead of using great CGI like this film does to capture the burns, it uses really, really bad prosthetics, and it kind of makes him look like a Power Rangers villain. And he kind of acts like a Power Rangers villain as well. But this film, and the way he questions the motive, you know, should I be doing this? How am I making it better? I'm actually making this city worse. Because, you know, at the end of this film, they talk about escalation. You know, Gordon said, you know, we buy semi-automatics, the criminals buy fully automatics. We wear bulletproof vests, they buy armour-piercing rounds. You dress up in a mask and jump off rooftops. That will cause escalation, and it does, and that is what the Joker is. He is the bad answer to Batman. He is the opposite side of that coin. That's a sort of, excuse the pun there, that was actually really terrible.
And I thought my jokes were bad.
And the whole dynamic of it, you know, Batman being like, I want to be good, but I don't know if I can be, and the Joker's like, I want to be bad, and I know I can be, is perfect. It really works for this film. And the Joker just, like, you see him, he just destroys Batman's confidence at every level, and he makes him want to break. He makes him want to go mental, really. Batman even says to him, you know, he's considering killing him, which of course is completely opposite his moral code. But he ends up eventually. Overall, he sticks to it, apart from when he sort of pushes Harvey Dent off a building and then Harvey Dent breaks his neck. But other than that, he sticks to it. But then again, I think he knew Harvey was going to die, but I don't think it was more. He was more saving the son, Gordon's son, who Harvey had taken hostage, than actually going out to kill Harvey. I don't think he wanted to kill Harvey. It wasn't like he was like, yeah, I'm going to push this dick off the side of a building. I'm just going to grab the boy, push Harvey out the way, and Harvey Dent then fell. And then Batman fell and broke a lot of bones. This one was a really dark, and that's the end. You know, dead Harvey, broken Batman, Joker sort of won, but Batman's like, no, every bad thing Harvey Dent did whilst he was Two-Face, frame me for it, so people don't lose hope that a hero can come, normally make me the bad guy. And it works. It's a sad ending, but it's a great ending. Especially when Gordon's like, we'll have to hunt you, and he says, you all hunt me, you'll chase me, you'll condemn me, and it's perfect. And the last line, he's not a hero, he's a silent protector, a watchful guardian, a dark knight. And I love the ending. I love it. I love how dark it is. I love like how it leaves on it that Joker actually won. He made a great guy, a terrible human being, and he will make the city lose all its hope. And Batman's like, no, blame me for it, because that's what the city needs me to be. It needs me to be the bad guy. And it just shows that Batman isn't just about punching people in the middle of the night. He's not just about fighting, because that's not the answer. That's not the answer to every problem. He's just like, I will just be whatever the city needs me to be, and at this moment it needs me to be the guy who killed a bunch of corrupt policemen and the guy who murdered Harvey Dent, not the guy who saved a little boy from Harvey Dent and stopped Harvey Dent's massive war rampage, murder, kill spree. I love it because it's so good. It's just such a good film. This film's more difficult to review than the previous one, because the previous one, I may well look into it in a bit more detail, was this one I love so much. I'm just like, yeah, love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Wish this film was 100 hours long, because then it's 100 hours of perfect. The opening as well, going back to the opening, because I wanted to talk about that, but I couldn't. The reveal that one of the henchmen, the last surviving henchman, was actually the Joker in disguise was really good.
Think you're smart, huh? The guy that hired yous, he'll just do the same to you. Oh, criminals in this town used to believe in things. Honor. Respect. Look at you. What do you believe in, huh? What do you believe in?
I believe whatever doesn't kill you simply makes you stranger.
Good. Well, actually, little Easter egg if you don't know. That mask Heath Ledger's Joker wore to pretend he was one of his own henchmen was actually the mask Cesar Romero wore in his introduction in the 1960s. So if you knew Adam West Batman, if you knew the cartoon, you'd actually be able to spot out which criminal is the Joker, because it's the same mask. And that was a cool little Easter egg. It gave a little early hint to anyone who knew the character really well, or watched that cartoon or not cartoon, but program when they were younger. So yeah, I love that little Easter egg. That was great. I love the whole opening. Like I said, best opening ever. I love how the henchmen are just killing each other after they've outlived their usefulness, just so they have a bigger cut of the money. And the Joker's just, the only reason Joker stole it was to fund his own private military, terrorist, whatever the fuck it is, and to piss off the mob, because that's how he got the mob's attention. You know, hire me, because I've just proved I'm good by robbing you. And that, I mean, it works, but that certainly is a bit of a, you know, a ballsy decision to do. I'm going to rob the people I want to hire me just to prove I'm good. Alright, good for you then. He does it, and then he goes to their meeting and then proceeds to murder a guy with a pencil, which is actually one of the coolest things ever, and possibly also one of the most morbidly funny things I've ever seen as well.
One reason why I shouldn't have my boy here pull your head off.
How about a magic trick? I'm gonna make this pencil disappear. Ta-da! It's gone.
So yeah, that opening was great. The way it leads into the rest of the film was great, because you're a bit confused, you know, why are they showing this? Oh, so it leads into something important, because the mob are terrified of Batman. They hired a Joker to kill him. Joker doesn't want to do that. Joker just wants to piss Batman off, to, you know, create a rivalry there, and to also take down Harvey Dent along the way. And again, it was Batman's existence that led the Joker to Harvey Dent, because Joker started saying, you know what, I'm going to start killing people every night until Batman reveals his identity. And Harvey Dent then says, I'm Batman, because he doesn't want the real Batman to give his identity. He will just take the fall for his crime, like how Batman actually does at the end of the film, for him to lure the Joker out, so then Batman can take him down. And ever since he did that, the Joker was like, I'm now obsessed with this guy. I'm now obsessed with Harvey Dent as well, especially as how he knows that Batman loves Harvey Dent's girlfriend. So he's like, ooh, little emotional tie-in there. I can affect both of them using the same person. And he found that out because when he had broken into Bruce Wayne's penthouse earlier on during a Harvey Dent sort of fundraiser party, and threw Rachel out of a window, and Batman literally, without hesitation, just jumped straight out the window to rescue her. And the Joker, when then Harvey Dent said he's Batman, he was like, oh yeah, I believe that. The way he threw himself out the window to save his own girlfriend, he must be Batman. And when he realised Harvey Dent isn't Batman, he was like, oh, so why did he throw himself out the window just like that? No hesitation, literally just ran straight out the window and then jumped out, grabbed her, and he escaped. He was like, well, if that isn't Harvey Dent, why would he risk everything going to shit just to save her? I know, he must also have feelings for her. So he knows there's an emotional triangle going on between Batman, Harvey Dent, and Rachel. He uses Rachel to break the both of them. One of them breaks, Harvey Dent. One of them doesn't, Batman. And I love that. I love how Harvey Dent breaks. I love him going on his revenge spree, and the way Batman has to try and stop him at the end before he can kill Commissioner Gordon's son in front of him and his mum and his sister, which is, I mean, that's just messed. I mean, that's horrible. You know, could you imagine having your son held at gunpoint in front of you? I mean, just by itself is horrible, but in front of you, your wife, and your daughter, because he blames you for getting his girlfriend killed. And he says, I'm going to kill your son just so you know how it feels to have someone, you know, listening to your loved one die, listening to the person you love most. And that was just, I mean, that's horrible. And you feel bad for Harvey. You're also like, dude, you've taken this way too far. And Batman comes in, and it's actually kind of weird to see Batman almost half beg, you know, because he doesn't want to fight Harvey. He knows how Harvey's feeling, because he loved Rachel just as much as Harvey did. So he knows why Harvey Dent's doing it. He knows why he feels, well, the way he's feeling, how he does, but he's like, you can't do this, you can't hurt the boy, please don't hurt the boy. And then eventually he has to go, you know what, I've just got to save the boy, and it gets Harvey killed in the process, and that's when he then takes the fall for all the crimes that Harvey committed, because the Joker said earlier on, if everyone finds out what Harvey Dent's done, the city will completely break, everyone will lose hope that good can ever exist, because the best person in Gotham has just become one of the worst people in Gotham. And I love the way it ends with Batman taking the fall, so everyone keeps their hope that a good person can come up and fight crime without having to be behind a mask, just beating people up in the middle of the night. It can actually be a politician, it can actually be someone doing it the legal way, and actually stand up for hope, with everybody knowing who he is, not just, like I said, a random guy in a black costume with pointy ears. I absolutely loved the whole film. I truly recommend you watch it. I just think it's absolutely fantastic. Honestly, my favourite film ever. Love it. Couldn't recommend it enough. And if you have, any form of, if you have 4K, if you have 4K, I recommend you buy, where is it? There it is. The 4K box set for the Dark Knight trilogy as well. I didn't mention in the last review, but I do recommend the 4K box set or the Blu-ray box set if you've got a Blu-ray player. And if you're interested in watching, if you haven't got either and you're interested in watching, more films, I do recommend you invest in either one. 4K is more expensive, but I do recommend you invest in a Blu-ray or 4K, just so you have a better film experience than you would with a DVD. Because not only are they not as good quality, but they're also faster in runtime as well. They're actually 4% quicker than they should be on Blu-ray and 4K and things like Netflix as well. They actually reduce the speed so it's running at the speed it should be. So if you had a film that is 100 minutes on DVD, it would be 104 minutes on a 4K Blu-ray, Netflix, whatever, because it slows it back down to the speed it should be. So yeah, I recommend it on basically any form of high definition or ultra high definition. I wouldn't recommend it on digital unless you've got good Wi-Fi, because if you don't have good Wi-Fi, it's not worth it, or just lag, or not as good quality as it should be. So yeah, I highly recommend this film. If you haven't watched it, if you haven't watched it and you watched that, I'm sorry I spoiled it, but I did warn you. Saying me standing here saying you should, watch it. I should have said that earlier, if I'm being honest. But yeah, like I said, if you haven't watched it, watch it, and you probably shouldn't have watched any of that. But if you have watched it, I'm sure you'll agree with everything I just said on how perfect the film basically is, with dealing with the continuation of the story from the previous film and being the middle chapter of a trilogy. So yeah, thank you for watching this review. I hope you enjoyed it. Any feedback you have, please let me know in the comments, or you could also go to my Instagram, which I will leave in the description. I'll put the link to that as well. You can comment on that or DM me or whatever it is you want to do. So just send me feedback if you have any. And I also want to say, speaking of Batman, how cool was the Batman trailer with Robert Pattinson that was released on during DC Fandom at the weekend? I wasn't actually expecting the trailer to be that long. I was expecting it to be like a 20-second thing with just like random snippet, little shots of this, that, and maybe a quote. Not actually what was almost a full proper trailer. I loved it, especially as using the music that I did. I won't say what it is, just so you can be surprised by it, like I was. The whole trailer was just absolutely fantastic. And even though I still think this Batman film will be the best film just as a film, I do think The Batman starring Robert Pattinson could be the best Batman film as in comic book film wise. So yeah, I thought that was great. And not only that, that was the biggest surprise of DC Fandom, but I have got to say the trailer for Zack Snyder's Justice League was immense. It was beautiful. I can't wait for that. Anyone who's watching this who is part of the the Snyder Cut movement, like I was, thank you for doing everything you did to help get it released. I'm not saying I did more than anyone else, because there's loads of people who did a lot more than I did, but I'm just saying thank you for doing what you did. And I also recommend, if you haven't bought one yet, you buy one of these, one of Ink to the People's Zack Snyder's Justice League t-shirts or hoodies, or there's other types of t-shirt. You've got all the gods, you've got the associate producer, I don't know if they've got what else they've got on there, but I recommend you buy something from them because they're perfect. Of course, the money goes to it goes to a good cause, American Association for Suicide Prevention. I think that's what it's called. So yeah, I really recommend you buy one of their shirts or hoodies or whatever it is you want, whatever type it is you want. I recommend you buy one. Go on their website and order it. They do deliver to the UK, although, like with me, there was issues. It did take long. I did have to email them saying, I'm sorry, but it's been lost. Could you send another one? And they were, very nice, and they did. So yeah, I recommend you buy some stuff from there as well, because it goes to a great cause. It feels really comfortable as well. This shirt's great. You notice I've been feeling it during the review, but it actually is surprisingly really comfortable, because usually when you buy a t-shirt like this, it's a bit shit. You're just whatever. But this actually feels really comfortable. So yeah, I recommend you buy some stuff from there as well. Completely unrelated to The Dark Knight, but I just thought I'd put it in here because I'm not going to talk about any of Zack Snyder's films for a bit longer, so I didn't want to come in late, with all of that. So yeah, thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you all soon. Thank you. Bye.